got a dark screen. Do we have a visual of the room too?
Commissioner, can you not see the view of Commissioner Gardner on your screen?
I got it. I got it now.
All right.
I got it. I got it.
All right. So I will call this meeting of the Board of Equalization for October 28th at 2:01 p.m. Present on the commission, we have Commissioner Tom Sakovich is joining us via Zoom, and Amelia Powers Gardner. I am here in person. Commissioner Bill Lee is speaking at an event at Utah Valley University and is excused from this meeting. So we have a fairly short agenda today. We will start with agenda item. In fact, I think we can take them both together. We have agenda items number 1 and 2 are to approve the minutes of the Board of Equalization held on September 30th and October 20th. That's agenda items 1 and 2. Does anybody have any corrections or questions about those meeting minutes?
If there are none, I can make a motion that we approve agenda items 1 and 2.
And I can second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 2-0. We have it says approve the Board of Equalization assessor approved review the process report dated on October 27th. Do we have any questions on that? It looks like we have 2 items there. I guess, agenda item number 3. Did you have any questions on that, Commissioner Sakovich?
No, they're pretty. I think nothing stands out in either 3 or 4. Is there anything that Bert Harvey might want to include in this observation? Am I missing anything? It looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah, the review process report is the recommendation from the assessor's office for typically, I imagine these are stipulations where an appellant has brought evidence and the assessor's office is agreeing that the evidence warrants a change in value. So that's where this report comes from. The next one, just for point of information, is the recommendations from the hearing officer after an appellant, after we've had a hearing and the appellants and the assessors came together and brought their case before a hearing officer. So
Okay.
that's for item number 4.
And I had no issues or questions on items number 3 or 4 either. I would be fine accepting a motion that took both of those together.
And I'll make a motion that we adopt and approve agenda item 3 and 4 then.
I will second that motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, that motion passes 2-0. And we're on to agenda item number 5. And this is to approve or deny a petition to the Board of Equalization to hear an appeal for property valuation after filing deadline. The owner on record listed is Michael Peterson, and appeal number 1483-2021. Do we have anybody to present on that?
Bert Harvey with the Clerk Auditor's Office. Just a quick review of the petition. Basically, he is asking for the appeal to be moved forward on the basis of extraordinary or unanticipated circumstances. He provides an explanation that he was attempting to get an appraisal of his property, and that took a significant amount of time. By which the time he actually got the appraisal in hand, it was after the filing deadline. So he's asking for the board to take that in consideration and approve this appeal to be heard. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
Okay.
My thought on that, Bert, is that he says for years the valuation was $31,000, but he never contested it, and then he decided to do something with it, and that part of the valuation was outside his fence line or out of his control. Do you have any extra documentation for this?
He provides. I believe he provided evidence with his appeal Of course, we're not necessarily looking at the merits of the appeal at this point. We're just looking at the merits of the reason for missing the filing deadline. If the board feels strongly that the circumstances justify having the appeal go forward, obviously the merits will then be looked at by both the assessor's office and potentially a hearing officer, and a recommendation will be made at that point. But
Right. So we're just saying, should this be able to move forward?
Right.
We
No, we're
aren't,
really
this
just-
isn't a decision at this time on whether or not we will accept the appeal, just
Yeah.
allowing it to move forward.
yeah, essentially, we're just looking at the reason for missing the filing deadline at this moment. That's the only thing we have to consider, really.
The standard for the
Because the explanation is pretty broad, but I'm willing to move it forward.
Paul, did you have
I
something
was
you
going to
wanted to
say
add?
that the standard for the board to evaluate this is whether or not there was an extraordinary and unanticipated circumstance that occurred during the appeal timeframe that prevented him from filing an appeal timely. And so you just need to look at the application. I think really probably the only fact that he provided is that trying to remember, I think he said that he began the process of trying to start the appeal was in July.
Yes.
And again, the appeal deadline is September 15th. So I think that's about all the facts that the board has.
When did we send out the property value notifications?
The valuation notices are statutorily required to be out by July 22nd. We always make it a few days before that. I believe the exact mail out date this year was, I think, around the 18th.
That's what I thought. And so really he started immediately after receiving his valuation.
Very likely.
And it just took an assessor that long to have him come up on the docket.
Right. I mean,
I'm sorry, appraiser. Thank you.
Private appraisers.
Private appraiser.
private appraiser.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I mean, and it's important to note in here that he was saying that he was looking for an appraisal below a certain price point, and then it obviously took him a while to find an appraiser who'd do the appraisal for the price he was willing to pay. I mean,
Right.
again,
I'm okay with that.
yeah, we're obviously leaving that up to the board's discretion.
Then I like to make a motion, unless there's someone else in the room that I don't see that needs to speak to this, but I'm ready to approve the petition to hear it, set a date for it.
Yeah, and I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, that motion passes 2-0. That's the end of our
And
agenda.
that will be
Is there
that'll be
anything
the
else we need
next
to address?
BOE then, right?
Right.
Will that be the next BOE when we hear this one?
No, what we'll do is we'll put this into the review process. It'll get reviewed by the assessor's office. The merits of the appeal will get reviewed by the assessor's office. They'll make a recommendation to either adjust the value or keep the value the same. At that point, the appellant will either have the opportunity to accept a stipulation or take it to before a hearing officer, after which point, after the hearing officer hears it, it will then come before the board in the form of a hearing process report. So it will be handled through basically he gets his day in court.
And then he will be able to establish whether his fence line is on his property line or if his property line is outside his fence line.
Yeah, he'll be able to make that part of his appeal before the assessor's office and the hearing officer.
Okay, then I'm satisfied with that.
All right. Then I think we are done, and we can take a final motion.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
And I guess we're adjourned. Thank you.
I apologize it's so short.